Is that just a coincidence? Everyone's here for a purpose. I found this to be very interesting. I've read this before. From what I was gathering from reading through some of the archived posts on 4chan, which holy headache, that place is a mess. It sounds like the OP of the photos on 4chan was posting a bunch of nonsensical things around that time of the unalivings or just before. Another user on there called them illiterate for their babbling. The OP, 4chan, not this OP, then posted the dark photo at 3:09. I remember this in the beginning of the case, that somebody posted a dark photo at 3:09, and there was talk about that they climbed up the roof on 1122 Kings Road. This is all speculations. I'm sharing what articles was going on social media, mainstream news, law enforcement. This was before the gag order was put up. So at 3:09, somebody put up a photo, which you can see in the links above. Then they posted a minute later of the one with the woman at 3:10 and said, first step. The photo's original post, though I can't see it, allegedly were with coordinates or metadata with coordinates that were right next to the house or near it. Allegedly, they were near the house, right next to the house or near it. I heard they were on top of the roof. So the users there were wondering if it was being posted in real time. That was what we were told. The rumors was it was in live times. So at 3:09, the OP caught the first photo, which you can see in the links above. Then they posted a minute later of the one with the woman that's at 3:10 a.m. and it said, first step. That is on the 13th of November. The photos of all original posts, though I can't see it, allegedly were with coordinates or metadata with coordinates that were right next to the house or near it. So the users there were wondering if it was being posted in real time. Unknown, but they're theorizing that the photos were actually from outside on a roof. Remember I said that? It was something about a roof? That the photos, unknown, but they're theorizing that the photos were actually from outside on a roof and looking in, and then it appeared that the police were then investigating the eye line through the window of the third floor, shortly after the post on 4chan. So the police were investigating the eye line, the roof line, shortly after the 4chan came out. The police is aware of the 4chan. And I remember hearing that there was photos being posted of first step and second step. I believe it was two women, and I believe allegedly, if my memory serves me right, it was on the third floor. They were trying to say it was Maddie and Kaylee. But pay attention to the timing, 3:09, 3:10. That would make sense because 3:12 is when the figures were running. towards the Sigma Chi, and they were clearly running from the direction. They were jogging from Kings Road, 1122 Kings Road, and those areas. They could have been innocent, but yet again, we don't know who they were. Were they investigated? It's making a lot of sense with the Sigma Chi fraternity, especially with Xana and Ethan. That's what I've always said. So they were posting a bunch of nonsensical things around the time of the unalivings, or just before. They were saying first step, and they posted a woman. I think they were recording this live. I won't be surprised if the house was fully under surveillance, if they had cameras inside, outside, upstairs, in the loft. I wouldn't be surprised, because this was a party house. People were coming and going inside this house. I'm sure not all the time people were aware of who was even sneaking into the parties or who wasn't invited and came as a plus one. That is the reason I believe they demolished this house.
Good question, Brian, because I know that it's been hard getting information from Sigma Chi members.
It has, really, from all the fraternities and sororities. We've talked to a couple sort of people, students, off the record, basically. Not off the record, but they didn't want to go on camera because they said, they were told not to speak, that not to talk to the media. They sort of got some of these fraternity and sororities on lockdown. It's interesting, Sigma Chi, which is right over there, we showed you last night. I can see it from here. There's something going on over there tonight. A lot of noise coming from the fraternity house tonight. Basically, not off the record, but they didn't want to go on camera because they said, they were told not to speak, that not to talk to the media. They sort of got some of these fraternity and sororities on lockdown. It's interesting, Sigma Chi, which is right over there, we showed you last night. I can see it from here. There's something going on over there tonight. A lot of noise coming from the fraternity house tonight.
So the frats and sororities were told not to talk. I wonder by who? Was it by the frat members, the frat seniors, the university, law and enforcement, the professors, the counselors? Who was telling them not to talk? And the president of the Sigma Chi fraternity said that they did not have any cameras outside. Basically, they were trying to discard any claims of the figures that were jogging at 3:12 could be from the Sigma Chi fraternity, allegedly. These people continued partying, the frats and sororities, and the college, right after the students were unalived. And that is just facts. That's not speculation. Is DM and BF trying to tell us they did not hear when Xana and Ethan came home? Let's not forget, DM lives on the same floor as Xana and Ethan, who's sleeping over his girlfriend's house. Sleeping over there as a guest. It seems like she knew Ethan well. She was getting to know him well. According to the memorial speech the pastor gave for both BF and DM. So is DM trying to tell us she could hear Kaylee playing with the dog, but she did not hear what time Xana and Ethan came home. They called 911 and they said an unconscious person was found. They meant Xana. That means they have to have seen Xana, which we've been wondering all these past couple of weeks. But now we're getting it in bits and pieces. Now we've been told that DM and BF actually saw Xana lying on the floor. That doesn't make sense. And they didn't call 911. And they didn't even call 911 for another 8 hours. How long was Xana lying on the floor? May she rest in peace. That's not something anyone would do to the worst enemy even. You would have called for help unless you felt safe and confident being in that house. DM is trying to tell her she came face to face with the suspect who unallied 4 people, and she doesn't even speak about the weapon he was carrying. No red liquid on him or on his mask or anything. The good vibes light picture was on, so she would have seen some of him. She managed to see his bushy eyebrows, but not his eye color. Doesn't make sense. Jack D was sleeping that night, allegedly, although he was at the corner club up to 1:25 or maybe even later, because the screenshot was at 1:25 at the corner club. So if he went home and he slept and he didn't hear the 9 or 10 calls Kaylee and Maddie made to his phone, then why didn't he hear Kaylee's mother when she called him the next day between 1 to 4:30 until the cops showed at her door? Just a question. He's the neighbor. He would have heard what happened to his loved ones. Why didn't he call Kaylee and Maddie, his parents, family members, even Kaylee's sister Alivira? Why didn't he call them? He knows they will be worried. Does anyone know what time Jack D went and picked up his dog? Because the dog was taken to a shelter and to the vet. They checked for DNA. I don't even think Murphy was at the crime scene. I believe he was brought to the crime scene later. If that makes sense. But yet again, DM said she heard somebody that sounded like Kaylee playing with the dog. DM heard a lot. She saw a lot. She even saw the suspect allegedly with bushy eyebrows. Doesn't talk about a weapon in his hand. She's just focused on bushy eyebrows while she has pictures of bushy eyebrows in her room. Where was Jack D? Where was Jack Showalter? Where was Adam? Where was the Davids? Where was Hunter Johnson? Where was Emily? Allegedly. Just a question. I'm not accusing anyone. What were their timelines about? Who was the alibi? And what was the alibi? Alivira, Kaylee's sister, said that Kaylee and Maddie came home. They did everything right. They took the private share body ride home. They locked the doors. They took the dog out to potty. Then they locked the doors, and this still happened. So did they let Murphy out to potty? Or did they take Murphy out to potty? Could somebody have forced their way in? How come Murphy had no DNA trace on him? And I believe all the 4 victims were targeted. Because if it was any collateral damage, example with Ethan, just say he came across BK and then he tried to tackle him down and he got stabbed, unfortunately. Then why wouldn't BK do the same with DM? She saw him face to face. He crossed or he walked past her bedroom towards the sliding door. Doesn't make sense. That's why I believe Ethan and Zana were unalived on the way home, inside the house, or somebody was waiting for them there. And I believe the surviving roommates knew exactly what was going on. So did Hunter. Why else would he come with a knife? Why would he go to the kitchen and get a weapon? Unless he knows everything that happened, DM and BF must have told him. Why else would you be running around with the knife from the kitchen? Why was he telling the girls to go, go, go? To get out, get out, get out. They must have already seen Zana. Yes, they did. How could we forget? How could I forget? Bethany Funk saw Zana the next day, lying in her room, and DM saw Zana lying in her room when she was running down without any fear, any concern that there was active unaliving going on inside the house. DM ran to BF's room, and they still did not call for help, call 911 or the police after she saw Zana on the floor. She said she heard Kaylee playing with her dog. That's why I've always believed from the first second I heard the affidavit that Kaylee was in her room. She heard noises, because why would Kaylee and Maddie sleep in a small bed when they could have slept on Kaylee's double bed? Plus, why would Kaylee sleep in Maddie's bed and leave her puppy, Murphy, to sleep alone? Maddie, Kaylee, and Murphy could have slept comfortably in Kaylee's room, which is much bigger. Let me know what you all think. Please like, share, and subscribe. Have a lovely week. May the victims rest in peace, and may the correct justice be served.